What is up? My name is Leo Myron. I'm an 18-year-old guy on self-improvement from Stockholm, Sweden. And for the last 9 months, I've not jacked off even once. But before that, I jacked off like multiple times a week whilst being on NoFap, whilst trying to quit. So I made a decent amount of progress. And in this video, I want to walk you through what I did yesterday as kind of like a sample day of what I do on a normal day in terms of NoFap, why I do this thing to prevent being overwhelmed by the urge at this time, just my strategy overall, and some tips and tricks that I've implemented for NoFap that have really helped me resist sexual urges. So yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, so yesterday I woke up at 5 a.m., which is my usual wake up time. I want to have a lot of time in the morning before I have to go to school to work on stuff like this. It's about 5 a.m. right now as I'm recording this, or not 5 a.m., about 6 a.m. And I want to have a lot of time to do work on my own stuff before I go to school, because I want to have as much energy as I possibly can for the most important things of my day. I will not want to do the work that I do in the morning after school, because then I have less energy because I've spent some of it in school. And then I'm also just like, maybe I have eaten a fuck ton of food and I feel a little bit like tired and fucking brain fog is the word. Sometimes I get brain fog from eating carbohydrates or things like that. So I really like having a couple of hours in the morning to do whatever I want to do and just grind and lock in on my goals. So basically, one of my biggest goals in life is to help more people with NoFap and to grow my community. And so I have my first kind of like 3 hours of the day allocated for that. So I wake up at 5, and then I do some kind of like activation stuff. I wake up, I go into the bathroom. I take off my sleepwear, like my mouth tape, which I use to breathe through my nose when I sleep instead of my mouth, because it seems to be way better for your health and so on. We don't have to get into the nitty-gritties of it, but like you're gonna develop a better jawline if you breathe through your nose, and you're gonna be breathing in more high quality air, because the air that comes in through your nose is generally going to be more high quality, because there are like more filters for the air in your sinus and so on. So I'll take off my mouth tape, then I'll take off my retainers for my teeth so that they remain straight, because I had braces a couple of years back. We'll see how long I use the retainers for, or rather how frequently I use them, because I don't want to be having plastics in my mouth for 8, 9 hours a day for the rest of my life, because plastics have like quite harmful chemicals in terms of things that are good for the human body. Like, there are estrogenic materials in plastic, which it's kind of like chemicals that act like estrogen, which is the opposite of testosterone, in your body. And so a lot of people ingest a lot of plastics these days through like plastic food packaging, or through drinking water or fucking Gatorade or some soda from plastic bottles and that kind of stuff. And there's actually a fertility crisis that is going on. Not a lot of people are aware of this, but generally way fewer people are fertile than they ought to be, and that people were just like 50 years ago. And we have, as a species, we have consumed so much plastic, and there's so much plastic in our environment, that a lot of us are just having way lower testosterone levels than we maybe should have had. So that's another thing. Maybe I'll go into a deep dive on that stuff in another video, because I think it's important. But yeah, I remove my retainers, and then I remove my eye mask. Obviously, I did that before. But yeah, man. And then I hop into cold shower. I just turn the little screw thing on my shower all the way to the cold side, and yeah, I just hop in. That's it, man. I think it might be some 20 degrees or something like that Celsius in the shower. I think maybe it's not accurate, but that's what it says on the little on the little showery thing. But yeah, hop in 30, 60 seconds, something like that. And the main reason that I like cold showers so much is that there is a biological, scientific benefit to doing them. There's something called dopamine, which is the molecule in your brain and in your blood that is being produced. And then as a result, you get motivated. So when you feel motivated for anything, it could be motivation for having sex, it could be motivation for eating food, it could be motivation for getting rich, it could be motivation for some long-term goal, like whatever it is. When you feel motivation, when you feel drive, when you feel energy to go after something, to pursue something, that is dopamine firing in your blood. And so a lot of people have really messed up dopamine levels these days because they overstimulate their dopamine receptors through things like scrolling and watching porn and jacking off and edging, like so many guys do these days. It's unbelievable. And then they might eat a bunch of junk food, and some people drink alcohol and take drugs and that kind of stuff. And when you do these very pleasurable activities that don't require any effort on your end, it's just pleasurable, it's just rewarding, then in the beginning, when you start doing the thing and when you really want to go do the thing, like when you come home from school and you feel like, yeah, I'm gonna go home and edge and watch this porno fucking clip, you know, on Pornhub or some shit like that, you feel really motivated to do that shit. And as you come home, as you take off your shoes, whatever, and you go into the bathroom, you feel really fucking motivated. And then as you type in the porn website, you feel even more motivated. And then as you find the clip, you feel even more motivated. And as you edge, you're like, like a fucking monkey, you know? You feel really motivated to keep going. And what happens then is that your dopamine levels in your brain that is being produced and disseminated into your blood is being fucking like so overstimulated, and you get so much dopamine for basically no work, no effort. And so it goes up like crazy. But then when the drug wears off, when you've done it for long enough, when you've either edged for long enough to the point that you just get blue balls and it's not even pleasurable anymore, or that you even reach orgasm, you reach this like massive spike, but then it goes down afterwards, you know. Post-nut clarity is like a really dramatic drop in dopamine levels. It goes up really fucking quickly, and then it just goes down like fucking hell. And then what happens is that your new baseline after the spike tends to restabilize at a lower point than the original baseline. So you feel even less motivated for your goals, for whatever things in life. You have less energy, less motivation, less drive than you did before. And so then the only thing that is really stimulating enough for you right now are things like doing the drug, like taking the drug again, like jacking off or watching porn. And so people just get into this downward spiral like crazy. And because the thing is with addiction is a progressive narrowing of things that bring you joy. That's from Dr. Andrew Huberman. But when there's only like one thing in your life that is actually pleasurable, that is actually bringing you joy, like for some people that's methamphetamine, cocaine, alcohol, these kinds of things, you tend to do the thing a lot when it's the only thing in the world that brings you joy. And usually those kinds of things are not very good for you in general. You know, methamphetamine, fucking coke, of course not, right? And what happens when you jack off and shit is that so actually when you edge and when you don't even reach orgasm, at a certain point you feel this like kind of agitating sensation of like, man, this ain't even pleasurable anymore. And you just kind of do it because there's nothing else that's even remotely as stimulating. If you edge for a long time and then you try to do something else, you try studying, you try eating some normal healthy whole foods, you try to fucking do some hard work like train in the gym, for example, it generally tends to feel a lot less fun and a lot less motivating than before. You know, what felt pleasurable now feels like normal, and what felt normal now feels like boring. Do you get what I mean here? It's like it's called tolerance in the body. Like your body naturally adapts to the dopamine levels that it is exposed to, and so after a certain while, what you do all the time will just become baseline. And if you jack off and edge all the time, that will become baseline. And anything that is less stimulating and less fun than that generally tends to become really boring, and you tend to not want to do it. And so with dopamine and sexual urges and NoFap, when you have high levels of baseline dopamine, so not these spikes that go up really quickly and then drop down, but your baseline, your chronic baseline, when that shit is high, you tend to have more motivation for your long-term goals. It's kind of like a threshold of motivation that you have to reach in order for you to sacrifice things in the moment for your long-term goals. So if addiction and low dopamine levels is a progressive narrowing of the things that bring you joy. A dopamine detox, a rise of your baseline dopamine, is the opposite of that. More things bring you joy. You have more things on your table that you could potentially do, that you would have enough discipline for, that you would have enough motivation for. And so, for example, when you have the urges to jack off or whatever, but your dopamine levels are high, like your chronic baseline, not the spike, but like your normal baseline is high, at least this is my experience, I generally tend to feel a lot more equipped to sacrifice, like basically to perceive the long-term benefit of not jacking off and just doing the stuff that I was supposed to do, because that will ultimately get me closer to my long-term goal. Because when my dopamine levels are really low, it is way more difficult for me to resist urges in the moment for anything, frankly. Not just like jacking off and shit, but like from food, like bullshit food and scrolling and content and these kinds of things. And so I think it's an extremely important concept. It's kind of like you can't even. I like to think of it as a threshold of dopamine levels, a threshold of motivation you have to reach in order for you to even perceive your long-term goals and the benefit that they're gonna give you. Like, a lot of people just jack off and then they feel shitty. Their dopamine levels are really fucking low, and then there's nothing else that brings them enough pleasure, and so they just do it again, you know. And they start doing this shit like fapathon. Yeah, I think it's called a fapathon, when you just jack off like 4 or 5, 6 times in a day, you know. It's yeah, I mean, I've done that in the past, but it's certainly not probably conducive to your goals in general. So but if you can relate to that, like when you reach post nut clarity, for example, and you like get into this really low energy state, and you don't even have any pursuit, like drive for pursuing your long-term goals, you're generally going to be way more likely to not resist new urges that come. Do you get my point? Hopefully. So the reason that I love cold showers is that when you go into the cold shower in the morning, you get a rise in dopamine levels by about 2.5x, which is comparable to cocaine. Cocaine, like fucking the drug that people get, like sniff and snort and get into their blood, you know, that people just ruin their lives over. But instead of having this spike, this peak, and then this trough, this rapid like drop in dopamine levels, it is actually sustained. So for about 4 to 6 hours, you will have increased levels of dopamine. And so whilst, for example, I'm making this video, I feel very good. I feel motivated. I feel like I'm in a nice flow state. I feel very focused on the task that I'm doing, and so on. And as opposed to me doing this video, for example, in the afternoon, or some like, if I just had a warm shower, for example, like a normal hot shower, I may have performed worse on this video. You know, of course, I can't know that because I can't split test it. But like in general, for me, my personal experience, when I have hot showers in the morning, I generally tend to be less like vigorous in my pursuit of my goals, and I generally tend to act with less energy and drive and motivation than if I have a cold shower. And it is like literally scientifically proven that your dopamine levels will go up if you expose yourself to cold water for about, I think it's a minimum of like 30 seconds or something. I like to stay in the cold shower for about a minute and really feel that shit, you know. But yeah, I think it's awesome. And then when this rise in dopamine from the cold shower kind of start wearing off, it actually restabilizes at a higher level because you did something difficult. And when you do painful shit, when you do things that are hard, that you're not motivated to do, your dopamine levels go down beforehand. Like when I'm standing outside of the cold shower, of course I don't have a lot of motivation to go in, you know, at least not on like a non-spiritual level. We don't have to get into that stuff, but like, of course my dopamine levels go down before I hop in the cold shower. But it's like a reverse graph, you know. It goes down before, but then it goes up afterwards. And so when you do painful shit, when you do things that are not very pleasurable in the moment, everything else after that in comparison will feel more fun, if that makes sense. And so generally you will have more motivation to do those things. Not that we should be having fun all day. I'm not talking about that. It's just that like you will have more motivation, and you will like you will perceive more deprivation from your long-term goals. So instead of you just like not giving a shit about what anything happens in the world, like, oh, I just jacked off, fucking, I don't give a shit about my normal fucking gym goals or my work goals. I don't give a shit about that. I just want to jack off again. You know, a lot of people get into that downward spiral. So all I want to say with this cold shower thing is that when I do it in the morning, basically straight after waking up, I generally tend to have a great fucking morning. So yeah. So after the cold shower, I go out, I brush my teeth, then I go back downstairs to my room and I get my clothes on. I usually just wear like a pair of sweatpants and a hoodie, that kind of stuff. And then I will make my bed because I don't really like having my room look like a mess, you know? It's not that I think it's a magical thing that's gonna make me like a superhuman or whatever, like some people might think. I just think it's a nice thing to do, and it takes me only like a couple of minutes. It's all good, and I'm not too like superstitious with basically anything. I think so. It's not like I think that I have to make my bed in order to be successful in this and this and this. It's not like that because I don't think that's logical at all. I don't think that making my bed has any direct correlation with whether or not I make progress towards my goals. But I just like it. I just like it when it looks nice, and I feel like I'm more productive in more tidy environments in general. I might be wrong, but in general, I feel like that. So that's why I make my bed. Then afterwards, I go upstairs to the hallway and I grab my winter jacket and my gloves and like these things, and I go out. I went out into the woods yesterday morning. I think I departed at about 5:30. And so I went on a walk to the woods, and yeah, I sat down to do my daily video, that I do in the morning, these kinds of videos. And I think the video that I made yesterday was pretty good. I think I like gave some pretty good tips and so on. I think I, yeah, provided quite a lot of value. I think the day before that was quite interesting, so it was a nice video to make. And yeah, bro, for sure. I think it was a good video. I think it was about 43 minutes, which it's quite a lot of time for like just a daily vlog slash summary, like the stuff that I do here. But it really enables me and sort of allows me to deep dive really into the stuff that I do and why I do it. So I think yesterday's video was pretty good. And then after I did the video, I went back home. Let's say it was about 6:50 ish when I finished the video, and I went back home after that. And then at 7, I had my first daily accountability call with my group. So basically, I have a school community, which is kind of like it's like a Discord server, but on steroids. That's how I like to say it. Like way cooler and classier, and just looks better overall. And I have like a free 3-hour course on NoFap where I put all of my tips and tricks for like how to stop jacking off, basically, or how I did it in there. And then in there, from like the most serious and committed guys, we have like a private group chat on WhatsApp. I think we're 12 guys right now, and we are hopping on calls every single day, or I'm hosting 3 daily accountability calls, so that anyone who's actually serious on the path can have 3 opportunities every single day to hop on calls and speak with me. And so basically, people hop on, and then I ask them, "Have you jacked off since we last spoke? How has everything gone? Have you had any urges? Okay, when did you have the urges? What kind of environment were you in? What did you do when you had the urges and afterwards, and so on?" And I kind of just deep dive into the boys' specific situations and see if they've jacked off or not. And the main point of the accountability calls is to, of course, keep everyone accountable. And I define accountability as behavior that increases the likelihood of self-compliance, which means things that you do or other people do that make it more that helps you and makes it more likely that you will do what you said you would do. So if you say I'm not going to jack off, things that make it more likely that you will not do that is accountability. So for example, if you use a habit tracker, you stick a habit tracker up on your wall, you get a piece of paper and you draw some columns like this and some rows like that horizontally for each day, and you tick the boxes. Have I jacked off today? Have I done this and this and this? You keep yourself accountable because you increase the likelihood that you do what you said you would do. And then with group calls, for example, like I do with my boys, that's another way to do accountability. We hop on. Let's say we're 5, 6 guys on each call, maybe a bit less than that sometimes. And we'll hop on, and I'll I'll go through each and every one of the members. Like, have you jacked off? Have you jacked off? And if somebody has jacked off, I laugh my ass off at them. All of us do. It's super fun, you know. And I have everyone who does jack off walk all of us through the entire experience in excruciating detail. So like, what were you thinking about beforehand? What kind of visualizations did you have? What like what porn did you watch? What positions were they in? All that shit, you know. What did you physically do with your hand? Not just like, yeah, guys, I relapsed, I jacked off, but like, what did you physically do? I grabbed my fucking hard little pee with my hand and I did this, and I went like this, like a fucking monkey, you know. And that shit is painful, yeah, because it's really shame. Like, people feel ashamed when they do that. If I had to do that, I would feel fucking ashamed. And the main reason that I do accountability like this is that accountability was what actually really moved the needle for me in terms of not jacking off. Because I relapsed on NoFap, or whatever word you want to use. I don't like using the word relapse because it kind of assumes that you go back to where you were before, which is not true, because you get practice on resisting sexual urges no matter what, so you never start from zero again. It's like, I just don't like the word relapse. But I was jacking off like multiple times a week, maybe 2, 3 times a week, whilst not trying to do it, or whilst trying not to do it. You know, I was on self-improvement. I was going to the gym. I was watching Hamza, Tate, these guys, Alex Ramosi. I was trying to be disciplined. I was kind of disciplined in general. Maybe like 80% of my day, I would I was doing a fuck ton of martial arts. I've had 3 kickboxing fights. I had cold showers from like November. I mean, it was like fall 2022 to about summer this year, last year 2025. I did not have a single hot shower. I only took cold showers. Sometimes I had hot baths because I did jujitsu and that kind of stuff, and wrestling. And if you do that, you kind of have to have hot showers or hot baths, because you need to like kill the bacteria that you get, that you potentially get from like rolling around with people and shit. And otherwise, people can get diseases and shit like that. But I did not have a single hot shower in like fucking 2.5 years. No, so I was quite disciplined. I had the ability to do hard shit. Of course I did. I went to the gym, all that usual stuff. And yeah, it was really difficult for me, because maybe like 2, 3 times a week, like for a couple of hours in the evening, for example, I would just start scrolling or like start watching some bullshit content and lay on my bed and not really know what to do and shit. And I would just end up like fucking jacking off and having the urges mount, having the urges mounting, you know, and overwhelm me. And I was able to resist them, but I chose not to, which is a kind of weird way to put it, because usually you don't. It's not like you're actively choosing to jack off, but you are actually doing that. That's what we are doing. So we have to take full accountability for that. But it was only when I actually sat my best friends in real life, they're also on self-improvement, when I sat them down and told them about my struggles that I kept hidden from them for a long time now, and I asked for their accountability. And I also started my YouTube series that you're watching right now. And I just swore to myself that if I do jack my PP, I have to tell my fucking audience. And I haven't done it since, you know? So it was when I got real external accountability from people that I respected and that I wanted to look good in front of, quite frankly, that that I stopped jacking off. And so that's why I want to bring accountability to other people, because I think it's probably the best thing that we can do for resisting sexual urges. So yeah, man. So I had the call. I have one call at 7 a.m., one call at 1 p.m., and then one call at 7 p.m. my time, Central European time. And we hopped on, and yeah, it was a great call. It was actually only one of the guys hopped on, so it was just me and him, and we chit chatted for quite a long time, because yeah, we just got into a nice flow and a nice conversation, and I think the entire thing lasted like an hour, which yeah, it's a really cool, lovely chat with my bro. So yeah, man. And so basically, also, by the way, if you want to be a part of this, if you want to get free coaching, free accountability from me and the boys that are in my group, then you can join the community below and just type in your info, and we'll have a chat and see if you're a good fit for the group. It's for free. I do it for free because I want to get experience as a coach before I start charging anything. I want to make sure that I'm actually good at what I'm doing. And yeah, I want to get more people in and help more people first. So that's why I do it, if you're wondering. So if you want to, you can check out the link in the description. You can join. It's absolutely free, and we'll have a chat. Hopefully, I'll see you inside, bro. But yeah, after the call, at about 8 a.m., I went to school. I hopped on the bus. I listened to some Andrew Huberman podcast on the bus. I love Andrew Huberman. Like a scientist. I think he's a neuroscientist. So he talks about how to optimize your health and your brain and your body, like how to grow muscles better, how to improve your sleep, how to meditate and improve your cognitive functions, and sort of all this like neural stuff, like the things that occur in your brain that you can't really see but are actually really like really prevalent and actually cause a big change in your mood and in your behavior a lot. Like for example, dopamine is a molecule in your brain, right? And I've predominantly learned about dopamine through Andrew Huberman, from some other guys as well, like Hamza, but a lot from Andrew Huberman. And yeah, I think he's a great guy. He's like he all the shit that he says is like backed up by data and stats, which some people might be turned off by, but I really love it because it just means that what he's saying is true, and the likely that if you do what he recommends based on these studies, there's a high likelihood that you'll get the desired result, rather than just like bro science, which of course can be like a fun thing and can be useful for sure at times, just to like do the brain dead thing. But I like Andrew Huberman a lot, and I think the work that he does and the amount of education that he has provided is truly remarkable. I think he's one of a kind, because a lot of people that work in these like these fields of study, like in because he's like a professor of Stanford University, which is like one of the best universities in the United States, and I haven't seen a lot of people like him. It's kind of like he's a bridge between these like fucking these 100th grade level reading level papers and documents that come from these studies that all the people on the in these labs do, that nobody of us real people can understand what they're even talking about. But then there's him, who can he can act as a bridge between these basically unreadable things and these studies that we don't even know how to interpret, to us kind of like normal people, if you want to call it that. And he can provide the actionable tips, which I really admire, and I love that. So I listened to some Andrew Huberman podcast on the bus. Then I went to school. I came to the bus stop. Then I walked to school, and I hopped into class. I did some stuff in class, some schoolwork. I don't like calling it school because I don't think it's really a school, because I don't learn anything really. It's I like to call it the indoctrination camp, and indoctrination basically means brainwashing, which I think is a more accurate term for what it actually is. Because I think the main point of school since the last 150 years, which is when this school system was instated, the Prussian school system, the main goal has always been to create obedient workers that keep the economy going, which I don't think is a bad thing. I wouldn't want that to change. I wouldn't want anyone to think, or everyone. I wouldn't want everyone to think like I think and act like I do. Of course not. That wouldn't be fun at all. Who's gonna like Top G would say? Who's gonna flip the burgers? Who's gonna wash my car? My Lamborghini, my Bugattis, huh? Yeah, man. Shout out to Top G. But I don't really learn anything from school, because I define learning as a changing behavior in the same condition, which I got from Alex Ramosi, great guy. But like, if you don't change what you do after having consumed information, you don't learn anything. You haven't learned anything. You've consumed and you've tickled your ears, but you haven't actually learned anything. Like, if you don't change what you do after this video, you have not learned anything. And my breath has been wasted, and your time has been wasted. So fucking go do something, man. Go do something. And so I was in class, did some stuff there. The main reason that I'm in school is because I have kind of like an agreement, I see the indoctrination camp, is because I have like an agreement with my parents that they're going to support the stuff that I do. And if I go to school, and it's just way easier for me to do that than get some 9 to 5 job and shit right now. And I've only got 4 months left until I graduate high school. So, I'll stick with it. It's all good. But, yeah, so I was in class, and then we finished, and I had a lunch, like a fuck ton of food. I didn't bring my kitchen scale, so I couldn't weigh the food for the macros and everything, but it was quite a lot. and I had like two monster servings of this like Swedish version of like mac and cheese. So yeah, it was all good. Kind of like macaronis and like some sort of milk cream sauce, something like that. Sauce and some bacon, like chopped up cubes of bacon, basically. The quality of the food that we get for free in school is obviously not going to be tremendous, to say the least, I would say, but it's still pretty decent. It's still calorie dense and everything, which is what I'm mainly concerned about in terms of my food. Of course, I don't want to eat like bullshit food that spikes my dopamine levels, like fucking donuts or some even protein bars. I'm really hesitant to eat. But yeah, it was all good yesterday at lunch, and then afterwards, I finished the podcast that I was watching because I was gonna stay in school to do some maths because I have like a math exam coming up, and I finished the podcast and like 20 minutes, and then I had another call at 1 p.m., which was really fucking long. It took me like an hour as well. so so yeah, man. And so basically we hopped on. Like I'm not saying that it took too long because it takes as long as it takes. It's I'm willing to do that for sure. But yeah, we had a quite a I would say broad conversation about a variety of different topics, not just NoFap. But yeah, it was all good. It was a lovely combo. I think we were like five guys or something that hopped on. So yeah, that was cool. Nobody had jacked off, which was it's a relief for me because I don't obviously want my students to jack off. But if they do, I'll have a great time. I'll have a laugh. So it's all good. So yeah, after that, I I was like, yeah, what the fuck? Where's my like notebook? Where's my? I don't have any papers that I can like do maths on and shit. I forgot that shit. So I just went home and did some math at home instead. And yeah, I wasn't too efficient because when I came home, I remember I watched like a couple of YouTube videos, maybe like 20 minutes or something, which I probably shouldn't have done. I should have just gone straight to math. That might have been a mistake of mine, probably. Yeah. But yeah, either way, I did a little bit, and I'll do more today as well. And so then I had more food. I had rice and like a high protein yogurt, not mixed together, but like separately. And it's called the kind of like a yogurt thing that I ate. It's called like skyr or skyr. I don't know how to say it. Skyr, like SKYR. How do you even pronounce that shit? I don't know. I've never really heard anyone pronounce it to be honest. But I do think that people in other countries do have it. Maybe you'll be familiar with like SKYR, Skyer, Skir, something like that. So yeah, man. So I had that about what was it like 600 No, it wasn't more than that. It was like 400 plus um six. Yeah, it would have been like 600 calories, 700 calories. Bro, I don't even know what the fuck that shit is. It's truly remarkable that something like that can go viral, like 6 7. We have 700 calories. Fuck you, man. But yeah, I had that shit. Then I went to the gym, and I did shoulders, neck, and chest. So kind of like a push workout, but without any triceps, just neck. And I only did 9 sets yesterday, which is not what I aim for. I want to do more like 12 sets per workout. I take quite long rest breaks, but I think I don't think that's a problem. I was just too inefficient before the workout. I came to the gym late. I was trying to upload yesterday's video, but for a long time, like during the day, I tried during the day and shit to upload it, but YouTube, it just said like that it wouldn't load or that it wouldn't upload the file or something like that. Like try again, some bullshit, and I had to like make some changes and I only uploaded the video at like 5 p.m. or something, and I had to stay at home to do that because yesterday I didn't have any fucking 5G. I needed the Wi-Fi from home, so I stayed at home for longer than I usually do. Usually I come to the gym at about 4:30. Well, that's my benchmark. Maybe 4:45, something like that. But yeah, I only did 9 sets yesterday at the gym, which I don't think is like that bad because I train like hard. I always train to failure, and usually beyond failure as well. So yeah, I made some progression on my lifts, and it was all good. Like I'm doing 65 kilogram, which would be about 145 pound, 145 pounds. Like what's that shit called? yeah, 45 on a 45-degree incline, like on the Smith machine. So for example, that's like if you want to know roughly how strong I am, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing 10 kilogram lateral raises like this with 10 kilogram dumbbells. I think my best lift is probably my biceps, which I did yesterday. I did 12 reps of 20 kg of dumbbells, like alternating dumbbells like this. And I'm gonna go to 22.5 kg the next time I do that exercise, which will be really fun. It's my all-time PR. I've never done 22.5 kg ever, so that'll be really cool. And hopefully by the end of this bulk, by the end of this year, I'll be at like 30 kg, which I think is like pretty fucking strong. I haven't seen a lot of people do 30 kilogram dumbbell curls. You know, of course, people like fucking Sam Sulek or shit. Of course, yeah, but like not real people in the gym. You know. So that'll be fun. I'm about 85 kilograms right now at 6 foot, and I plan on bulking up to about 95 kilograms by the end of this year, which is quite a lot. So I'm about 185 in pounds, and then I'm trying to bulk up to about 215 roughly, or not 215 maybe. Maybe it's like it's like 210, I think. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. So I did the workout, met my brother there as well, had a nice, lovely chit chat, and then I went back home and I ate 800 grams of rice and about 300 grams of chicken breast with a fuck ton of olive oil, which I'm sure had to be I know that 800 grams of rice like that would have been like 1,300 calories, and then the chicken would have been like, man, I'm not even sure. I'll have to check that, but I think 100 grams of chicken breast is around like 100 calories or something like that. I'm not sure, but that would be my guess. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I'm not sure, but I you know I had to be pushing close to like 2K calories in one meal because I was eating. It was a lot. You know, my stomach was like bulging afterwards. It was really difficult. And then bear in mind, I started eating at about 6:40 p.m. and my third call started at 7 p.m. And so I had to eat all that shit in like 15-20 minutes, which was really fucking difficult. But I got it done. And yeah, just fucking use a fuck ton of water to swallow the food quicker and so on. So yeah, I did that. And yeah, I'm doing like 4,000 calories a day these days. So yeah, that's what I'm rolling with, if you were wondering. But then at 7 p.m., I hopped on the call. I had to like lay down on my bed because it was to like relax a little bit during the call. But it was all good. I think we were 5 guys on the late the night call as well. So that was all good. Nobody had jacked off. And yeah, we had a lovely chat. I think it lasted about 45 minutes or something like that. So yeah, it was awesome, bro. And then afterwards, I just hopped in the hot shower for a minute, and then I brushed my teeth, and then I draw the curtains, and I drew the blinds or whatever you want to call it in my room, turned off the lights and that kind of stuff, and I went into bed and I put the red color filter on my phone on, which you can do right now if you want to try. You can go into settings on your iPhone. If you have an iPhone, that is. If you have an Android, I don't know how that shit works. But if you have an iPhone, you can go into settings right now, search for color filters, then click on enable, then click on color tint, like Tint. And then you can bring the intensity all the way up, and your entire screen should turn red. And the reason that I do that is that I don't want to get any blue lights or as little blue light as I possibly can into my eyes before I go to bed, because there is significant data and science supporting that it will decrease the quality of my sleep. So yeah, I don't want to do that. And the main reason, or the thing that I use my phone for at nighttime or in the evening like that before bed, my bedtime is 8 p.m., is to write basically a little 5-10 minute thing about what I did that day, how I think the day has gone, and what I could have done better, what I did well, how I'm feeling about this, what I'm looking forward to, what I think is gonna happen with this and that, to kind of just document my emotions and my thoughts as I go along on this journey, as I keep grinding, as I keep following the light path, and so on. Because I was thinking a little while ago that like if I could go back and tap into my, let's say, 10-year-old self's life or mind for a second, that would be really fucking cool to see what I was doing at that time, because I was doing some cool shit, you know. And I think having my life documented internally like that, and externally, like I'm doing with these videos, is a great way to honestly live life, at least for someone like me, because I think that a lot of the memories that we have, a lot of the stuff that we do, generally gets lost in the ether of time. And for me, at least, I don't remember that much of what I did fucking 5 years ago. Of course not. I'll remember a few moments from a few years, but like of a certain year, for example. But I won't actually remember the nitty gritty details of what I was doing. And I think the period that I'm in my life right now, the period of the season of like absolute grind and lock in, and that I'm just like waking up at 5 a.m., going into the woods and shouting about porn and shit in these videos. And I'm bulking, like eating 4,000 calories a day plus, and I'm just training like a fucking animal. And I'm slightly socially, I wouldn't say I'm socially isolating myself, because I do have like in real life friends and shit that I talk to, like my big brother and our best friend, whom I also consider a brother, and my online friends as well. So I wouldn't say I'm socially isolating myself, but like for sure the people in my school and my like class and most people that I meet, I don't really share values with, and so I'm not that social right now in general in terms of the time that I spend with people. So yeah, but for me at least, this time of my life will go down as one of the most transformative and important ones, for reasons that you'll see, um, hopefully this year, inshallah. I'm not Muslim, but I like the terminology. So yeah, if God wants to, you'll see. I'll leave it cryptic for now. You'll see what I mean. It's all good. And yeah, man, I really like the idea of just documenting my journey internally and externally. So yeah, that's what I do. And I usually read a chapter of a book from a fiction book series that I read since fifth grade. There's like 100 plus books in the series, and it's amazing. I think it's called Warriors by Aaron Hunter. It's about nature and wildlife and adventure, and also things like loyalty and courage, and finding out what truly matters for you, and doing the right thing even in dire circumstances, and so on. It's amazing, man. I really love it. But I don't have a book right now that I've ordered or that I have, because I finished my last one 2 days ago. And yeah, it's all good. I'll get one of the new ones that has just come out in a moment. So that's it's all good. So I just, instead of reading, I just went straight to bed. I think I finished the little podcast episode of Alex Ramosi. He's like a big entrepreneur guy. I love him as well. He's amazing. Um, and I finished like a podcast of his. I just lay down in my bed with my headphones on, and for like 5-10 minutes, listen to that stuff, and yeah, just kind of like unwinded and relaxed a little bit. So yeah, that was all good. And then when I finished that, I think it was about 8:15 p.m. that I shut everything off, and that I went to bed. So yeah, I think my day yesterday was really good. And as for like NoFap stuff and sexual urges, at this point, I don't really get the thought of like doing this shit, fucking jacking off like that. The thought doesn't really cross my mind. I might get like some sexual urges. I might get some mental movies, some visualizations, some fantasies, but it's not like I'm actually considering grabbing my pee. You know what I mean? I don't know, but it's like, I think when you get to a certain point of not having done something in a while, the association in your mind, at least for me, is kind of broken at this point. So that's at least how it is for me, and maybe that'll give you some hope for the future. That if you just get over the first initial hump of not jacking off for a couple of weeks, months, however long it'll be for you. For me, it was about maybe a couple of months, something like that. The thought of actually doing it doesn't really cross your mind anymore, at least for me. So yeah, man. I think it's a beautiful place to get to, because I still do get like sexual thoughts and urges. Of course, I do. I didn't have too many yesterday per se, but when I do, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As a young, healthy, high testosterone male, of course you're gonna get sexual urges. That's completely natural. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't want you to label your thoughts or your desires or your visualizations or anything like that as bad or negative. I don't think that serves you at all. The only thing that I would label bad is behavior that decreases the likelihood that you get what you want. Period. Like full stop. That's it. So it's all good as long as you don't actually do anything. As long as you don't jack off or you fuck your pillow or whatever. Like, if you don't do that, then you're all good. There's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with you for having urges. Of course there's not. You're a fucking young man. What do you expect? And also, don't fucking expect this shit to be easy. Of course, you are gonna want to jack off, at least in the beginning, especially if you've done it for a long ass time before. Are you expecting to break this habit, or rather, are you expecting to break this habit mentally, and by which I mean the association between the desire and the behavior in your mind, so that when you get the desire, you get the idea of jacking off? Are you expecting to break that association immediately when you reinforce that shit for like 5-10 years? Like, that'd be quite unreasonable. I'm not saying that you cannot quit cold turkey. Of course you can. That's what I did. It wasn't like I did a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, to the point that I was doing nothing. It was like I did it usually a couple of times a week for like about 2.5 years, and then I just stopped all of it cold turkey. It's 100% possible. There's nothing physically stopping you from doing that. So yeah, those are my 2 cents on it. But yeah, I didn't really have any urges yesterday. Wasn't close to jacking off. It was all good. And come on, that's it. By the way, I want to give you this reminder again. I'm not trying to plug shit, but like, I do think that if you are like me, if you're like 16 or 20 years old, something like that, and you're from Europe, or from North America, or from Australia, something like that, maybe, and you are on self improvement, you are disciplined generally, like in your fitness, you go to the gym, you track your macros, you hop in the cold shower regularly, you don't hang out with bullshit people, you don't eat bullshit food generally, and so on. You don't watch fucking Mr. Beast, you don't really scroll and shit, but still, even though you're ambitious and you're actually quite productive during your days, you just haven't seemed to be able, fuck, you haven't been able to get rid of this habit of jacking off. If that is you, because that was me for a long time, then I would highly recommend that you join the free community, and you can get my free coaching, like my free help, if you want to. You would be doing me a service if that was the case, because if you make a fuck ton of progress with my help, then you will be a great case study, a great testimonial for me later to show other people that, hey, I can actually help people. So you are doing me a great service by clicking on the link in the description and joining the community and making progress alongside, like, with my help. If you would want that, if you want accountability, because you probably don't have any fucking people in your life that you can talk to about this shit, you know? Most people don't. Like, when I did that shit, I did, which I'm truly grateful for. I had like 2 close friends that I could talk about the shit with. But most people that I talk to, they don't have anything. Like, people just consider this shit taboo, and it's honestly disgraceful, man. It's really like, it's such a fucking widespread epidemic, man. It's like Pornhub is the 9th most visited website in the world, 4 billion monthly visits. It's insane, man. Like, yeah, join the fucking community if you want my help. If you don't, that's all good. I don't judge you for that. But if I were speaking to my younger self, I would 100% tell him to join the community and just get free help, like, accept free help. You know, get held accountable, and yeah, man, let's get it. Hope to see you inside, bro.